What's going on, Spurs fans? Unless you've been living under a rock, you guys know the Spurs have been the talk of the offseason, and rightfully so. But being that they've been the talk of the offseason, I think it's only right that I pick the brains of some of the Spurs players. And who better to join me for the first episode of this entire deal than Doug McDermott, someone who's an absolute bucket. Doug, my brother, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today, my friend?
Man, I'm doing good. Just in between workouts, just trying to grind this summer. We got a big year coming ahead, so it's been good. It's been good to get some rest and be around the family some, but definitely excited for what's to come next season.
It's so interesting, man, because whenever I look at your career, up to this point, everyone's been asking me like, oh, you should, or everyone tell me, oh, you should ask him, if he plans on coaching after his career. But I tell people, guys, he's only 31 years of age. Like he's like, but it's funny because, man, it feels like you've been in the NBA like my entire life. Like, tell me what this journey's been like for you, man.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. I've been training with some guys in the off season that are going into year 3, year 4, and then I'm thinking like, dang, I'm going into year 10. Just it's crazy how fast 10 years flies by. I still just remember like my college days, but it's been like a heck of a journey. I've bounced around the league for a while, and it's been great these last 5 years to kind of have a home in Indiana for 3 and now San Antonio for 2, just to feel a little more established in one city and be able to be in the community, know everyone in the organization. So that's been the best part about this last 5 years, and I've really enjoyed my time in San Antonio. Get to know so many people, and obviously playing under Pop. He's the best coach of all time and probably the best organization of all time. So it's really helping me decide what I want to do after my career, like you said as well. If I want to get into the front office or get into coaching, and the Spurs are the blueprint for both of those things.
Yeah, and it seems like it'd be a really like smooth transition. I think that's why a lot of people think so. Not only because your dad's a coach, but also because you're a very high IQ player. I think what really kind of separates that is everyone knows you're excellent as a shooter, but you're excellent off the ball, excellent as a cutter, and a lot of that stuff it's not really stuff that the stat sheet would pick up per se. But if you watch the game, it's something that you see. Is that something that you really buckled down on and really tried to embrace as a player in the NBA, because you've always been a very highly touted player. You were an All-American, right? The best player in the nation your final year in college. Is that something that you kind of like? Is that a role you took on as you went into the NBA?
It's a lot different for a guy like me. I had the ball in my hands a lot. As the coach's son, so of course I'm going to get every shot. But adjusting to the NBA, I know how to change my game and be more of a good role player. And it takes time in the NBA. I had to adjust to not posting up. Now I'm coming off a ton of pin downs, just running around, trying to cause havoc out there. And in the back of my mind, I know that I'm not going to get a shot every time down the floor, but I move around and make the defense tired and make them think not just the guy guarding me, but the help side defenders is only going to open up space for guys like Eldon, Jeremy, all of the other players out there. So it's a way of me kind of trying to make an assist without actually having the assist. I feel like I'm impacting each play on the offensive side of the ball, and I think I like taking a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, you were such a highly decorated collegiate athlete. You were, I think it was like the 28th ranked small forward in high school in the whole nation. So you were up there. You've always been, considered one of the best players. But you mentioned, right, when you went to the NBA, when you transitioned there, you realized like, hey, this, the offense isn't going to be run through me. Was that something like hard to swallow as an athlete, or no? Were you pretty much, very open to the option there?
Honestly, I kind of expected it coming in. I think that's where some guys can run into trouble because you're not going to be the man when you get in the NBA. There's only a select few guys that are superstars, and teams are going to build around those guys. And the quicker you realize that you need to be a star at your role, the better career you'll have. Because if you want the ball in your hands every play and you want the coaches to draw plays for you every time down the floor, it's just going to affect your ego, and teams are going to move on from you. So I've really tried to adjust to that in these 10 years in the league, and I feel like it's worked out for me. And I think the Spurs are a perfect place for me because they preach playing the right way, and Pop preaches moving the ball. player movement, and I think it's just like a perfect situation for me. And with these young guys we have coming in, it's a great situation for me, and I couldn't be more thrilled.
And that's interesting to hear you say that because although you're 31, I believe you just turned 31 in January, right? So I know a lot of times some people once they hit their 30s and enter in the mid 30s, they want to start to win titles, right? Or that's kind of like the goal. But you seem to really embrace this team and kind of where they're at, right? And we know, right, a guy named Victor Wembanyama is joining the Spurs most likely, right, after this year's draft. Tell me, man, what about this? What is so different from your mentality compared to other players? Because you seem to really embrace, hey, we probably aren't going to be championship contenders this season, but you're still very much so locked in and invested. Where does that come from?
All of a sudden, just want to ring chase and do all that. Obviously, we want to play. We want to play at a high level next year, and that's our goal. But at the same time, you got to be a little more realistic with the timetable of some of these guys. You got to realize, they're 19, 20 years old. So it's not just going to happen overnight. It's going to be a long process. And we got to do it organically with the right people, the right coaches, and we have that with the Spurs. So I think I just fit right into that. And, I still feel like I can play for a while longer. And I think this is just a perfect situation at this time in my career. And it's just really exciting what we got going.
But no, man, I think I just find it so fascinating how you've been in a lot of spots, right? You've been in Chicago, you've been in Oklahoma City, New York, Dallas, Indiana. Mentally, was that kind of hard for you to kind of take in, like bouncing around a little bit, not really finding a true home? You were in Chicago for a minute, but you had a little moment there where you went around, 3 teams in basically a calendar year. Was that pretty tough for you?
It was, it was really hard, but at the same time, I was still pretty young, and it was easy to move around. I mean, obviously, the NBA does a great job with moving companies. They help you out so much, and you get to stay in hotels. And it was tough, though. I mean, because I think it was a great learning process for me because I had to learn so much information in a short period of time because you're going from 3 different systems in basically 1 year and having to learn all these plays and play calls. But I think when it's all said and done, I'm going to be really excited that I got that opportunity because I've met so many people. I've learned so many different basketball minds, and I feel like it's only helped my career going forward. But at the time, it was definitely really tough, just kind of living in the fly and just on so many airplanes and different hotels. And that's why it's great to be in San Antonio and, have a home and just be able to feel comfortable.
Yeah, and it's different because sometimes whenever I talk to athletes, you can tell like they're very much so like, oh, I love it here, but they kind of leave. It gets like a little like too much, right? You think like do you really love it here, But you really do seem to embrace so much of what San Antonio embodies. And we were talking a little bit about how you do come off a lot of pin down screens, a lot of running, a lot of movement. So I gotta ask this just from my perspective, right? I'm cutting weight for a jiu-jitsu tournament. What is your diet like? Like, to be able to run that much around the court, like, what is that diet like? What's the exercise workout regimen? What is all that like?
Yeah, I've definitely had to like lean out a little bit for this role, and it's just eating a lot healthier and, staying away from just the simple stuff like eliminating fast food, eliminating certain, red meat, and just trying to eat more of a Mediterranean style diet and just stick to a plan. I think consistency is key. And then, working out wise, I'm always doing some cardio. I mean, I really haven't taken a day off since the season's been over cardio wise. I'm at least on a treadmill or a Peloton bike or a rowing machine. And that's always something that I need to do each day. Cause I think I did the math and I think I run around, 2 miles per game or something. So I got to keep that cardio up throughout the summer if I want to sustain it for an 82 game season. So that's a huge part of it, just staying consistent. And I think I'm on a good plan. The Spurs have such a good medical performance team around us, and they give us whatever we need. And like you said, San Antonio, man, it's been amazing. I'm not just saying that like everyone else does, that they never want to leave, but I truly feel like it's home for me. It just when I was a visiting team for so many years, I was only used to the Riverwalk and the kind of the touristy parts, and now I get to see a whole different side of the city. There's way more to it, and the people are great, the food's great, just the fans are amazing, and I absolutely love it.
Well, in San Antonio, you said the food's great, right? That's where the text meets the Mex, right? In terms of the food
Yeah.
there.
Man, we were talking about your diet, right? I know you keep it clean, but brother, I know there's times where I know for me, I love good garnegi salad plate. I like the fatty red meats, man. You know, it's really tough. Tell me, man, if there's a couple spots, if I know we don't do free promo here, but if there's a couple spots that you do feel in the city, tell me, man, where are you going for a nice little cheat meal?
Man, I'm going to the food truck area just on Broadway, close to the Pearl. There's some elite taco stands down there, and then I like going over to Southtown. There's a few good restaurants over there. Off the top of my head, God, what's the burger spot I like out there? I mean, you can't go wrong with our uh, what's it called? Well, obviously Shake Shack, but then Whataburger, the Texas
Yeah.
staple. I mean, that's a when we land super late at night in San Antonio sometimes and there's no option, I'm so tempted to drive through Whataburger and have a little cheat meal. But they're a Spurs sponsor, so I can support them every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, at the AT&T Center, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. The prices are a little high, but bro, it's like the best Whataburger you'll ever have. That's good. And then I like Burger Boy in San Antonio. Burger Boy is
Burger
gas.
Boy fire, so
Yeah.
good.
I just got a couple more for you, brother, as we start to wrap this up. I want to take it back to your pops real quick, right? So, you guys, I feel like you can't talk about Doug McDermott or your father without mentioning the relationship of you two and just how intertwined you are with this sport, right? And with sports in general. I know that's a very unique thing. That's not something that very many people have. But every time someone does, it feels like it's just so important. It takes you to that next level, not only between as an athlete, but as a father-son kind of relationship. Tell me, man, how grateful are you to have experienced so much of the sport that you love with your father?
Yeah, so grateful. He's been such an impact on my life, and he's worked his way up from Division II to work up for that lost time, at Creighton and be around him every day for 4 years, and both do the things we love. Coaching basketball and playing basketball. It was like a match made in heaven. Our family was so excited. They all got to be at every game, and it got annoying some days having to be around your dad when you're in college, but the pros definitely outweighed the cons, and we had a blast doing it, and he's still thriving there. And it's been fun just to follow his journey, and then I'm sure he'd say the same about mine.
Yeah, no, it's like whenever you're in college, you're like, you might be spending some time, doing some college stuff, and you don't want your dad to find out, so you just, make up a little lie or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm sure, hey, I'm sure it's tough because people will be like, tell you like, oh, I'm gonna tell your dad on you or something like that. But
yeah. I mean, at least it was the pre-NIL days, and I could legally get money from him. So that was the plus side. If I needed some money to go get some beers, he'd give them to me. But that was those were the days.
Were you like Stone Cold Steve Austin at Creighton or not really?
Oh man, I had those days for sure. Those days are long behind me, though.
Yeah.
I leave those for Jeremy Sohan and Keldon. I don't got that. I don't got those days in me anymore.
Yeah, I was about to say not when you're running 2-3 miles on the court every night. I don't think you can do it. But
No.
my final one for you, brother, is we mentioned right, Keldon. We've mentioned Jeremy now. This team is in a very prime position to land a huge prospect. Tell me, man, with this season and all these new pieces and a year under your belt with this group, how excited are you for this season?
I'm so excited, man. I mean, I think we've had a great 2 years of, helping develop some of these young guys. Obviously Devin, we haven't mentioned him yet. He's going to be coming out of injury and he's going to be hungry, and he's a very talented player. And then Keldon's progression last year and the way Jeremy grew up throughout the year and expanded his game, and Malachi and Blake. I mean, there's just so much young talent on this team. And when we can add a guy like we're hoping to add, I think the sky's the limit. And I think these guys can grow together, and whether I'm here or not, it's such a bright future for the Spurs. And I'm just happy to have been a part of it in a way to help build this thing back to where they belong. They've been so successful for so long, and the fans deserve some more winning in the future, which I'm sure they'll certainly get.
Hey, man, I'm sure that everyone's glad to hear that. And it's definitely been my honor, man, to sit here and, take a little bit of your time and tell your story a little bit, but also kind of, look out into the future as well. If there's anything that you'd like to let the fans know, anything you have going on personally that you'd like to let people know about, feel free, my friend. The floor is yours.
Man, we're just we're grateful as Spurs players. We love you guys. We love the energy you guys bring every night. When we see you around the city, how excited you are to see us, and we try to do the same with when we're out in the community, helping out. And it's a very special place, very unique place. There's no place like it, and we're excited for some awesome days ahead. So we'll see you at the AT&T Center, and we just can't wait.
Absolutely, my friend. Hey, again, man, thank you so much again. We're all excited for what's to come. All the Spurs fans, I'm sure. From here, there's one fan out from, I believe it's from Japan or China. He's one of the biggest Spurs fans I've ever met. He's been jumping up and down for a Wemby, and he knew I was talking to you. He's been so excited. But man,
Yeah.
I think everyone's just, it's a breath of fresh air. This past off season, and I think everything that you've said today really, man, just wraps up how I feel like the team is feeling right now, man. It feels like the Spurs might be back, baby.
I feel it, man. And I just feel like there's such a positive vibe around the team last year. Even though we were losing games, we knew it was for something bigger, and we were rewarded with that. And it's super exciting, man. I can't wait. And, no one deserves us more than the Spurs franchise and, their fans.
Hey, man, well, thank you again for your time, brother. I've taken up too much, man, but I appreciate you setting some time aside for me. Yeah. And anytime you want to chat, man, you let me know, all right?
All right, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. You have a good one.
You too.